Nick Gallo, KCThunder.com. Mark, the defense seemed to just keep you in it in the first half, and then you guys were able to continue to turn it up and get the offense going in the second half. What did you feel throughout that first half in terms of the pressure you all were able to put to just keep you in it long enough?
I thought that was the game, for us, to play as poorly as we did offensively in the first half and to be down 4 was a major victory for us at halftime. And the defense was a huge catalyst in that. I thought offensively, it's a very different series. It's a very different team stylistically, and I just thought it took us some time to calibrate that. They're a lot more pressure-oriented on the perimeter. They're a lot more physical on the perimeter. Denver, plays you at a lower pickup and packs it in. Their physicality is different, but this team is really up the floor, pressuring and really after you. And so I just thought it took us a second to calibrate to the opponent, but our defense allowed us the margin to do that, obviously.
Mark, you and Shai have been in a handful of series now together where he's been, the first option. Like, what have you seen from him as far as the way he processes a game from quarter to quarter up until the point where, maybe it's time for him to sort of close the game?
Yeah, he keeps himself in it. He's got a great emotional temperament. I've always marveled at that about him. He was 2 for 13, I think, at halftime or at one point in the game. And he just keeps himself in it. He doesn't get emotional. He just plays the next play. I thought he was really in attack mode tonight. He did a great job of pounding the paint with the ball. He had a good blend, especially in the second half of his early passes. But, he was really driving it and putting a lot of pressure on them, which is what you have to do against that level of pressure and physicality.
And he said earlier in the year that going into the season that he stopped caring about his efficiency and that it almost made him feel like liberated, I think was the word he used. Do you remember seeing signs of that earlier this year? And I guess what has that meant for him during his playoff run?
Yeah, he's a great player that just stays present. If you're worried about your efficiency, you're worried about the past or the future. And he's, a very present player. He just plays the possession in front of him. He doesn't really change his game. He doesn't change his mindset. I thought that was on, full display tonight. And he was huge for us. And I thought him, Chet in the second half, Dub in the second half, there was just a different level that they went to, Caruso, from where they were in the first half. They did a great job in-game of kind of turning the table.
Mark, you didn't play Kenrich many meaningful minutes in that Denver series. In fact, I don't think any meaningful minutes. But for him to come in the first half and then the defense he played on Julius in the second half, just what did he bring tonight, and what did you like about the matchup with him out there?
Well, first of all, he hasn't played, significant minutes in a game since the last game of the regular season. It was 5 weeks ago. And the amount of invisible work that it takes to keep yourself that sharp to be able to go in a playoff game like that in the Western Conference Finals and perform the way he did, the invisible work shows up there. That's unbelievable. Consistency, professionalism, mental toughness, all that stuff. And I truly believe that it breathes life into the team when they see a guy not play. He was a huge contributor for us this season, and he didn't play really in the first 2 series, and he just puts his head down every day, keeps himself ready. And then to go in and deliver like that was a huge energy boost for us. Our energy was not where it needed to be in the first whatever amount of that game, and he changed it. And in the second half, he really changed it. So, huge credit to him. It just shows everybody what we already know about him, but that was a big-time performance.
Coach, Mark Spears, ESPN Landscape. One day off after a 7-game series, one day to prepare. This team is rested. Just so many ways for error for you guys. How did you overcome those challenges for a victory?
Yeah, I thought it was great mental toughness, and I thought it started in the first half, like I said, to play that poorly offensively and to not get knocked out was huge. We lost the rounds, but we didn't get knocked out. And I just thought, like I said, we're going from one opponent that plays very different stylistically on both ends of the floor to an opponent that is way more free-flowing on offense and way more physical and pressure-oriented on defense. And I just thought it took us a minute to calibrate to that. And the guys did a great job of just staying in it mentally, long enough for the game to turn for us.
Yeah, the fourth quarter where Chet kind of was in a slog early, but fourth quarter, I think he had 7 points, he had a three. He's on the boards offensively. That kind of help you put the game away.
He was big time, and I didn't think he played his best in the first half, like a lot of guys on the team, and he just kept himself in it and really got engaged in the game, and he was part of a huge run there. I thought being able to go to Kenrich the way we did and get him a blow and then come back to him fresh at the end of the third was huge for Chet, and so it just shows the downstream effects of depth, and I thought it helped him tonight, but he was really ready to rock when he went back in there.
It's another game where you guys have more than 30 points off of turnovers. Obviously, that starts at the defensive end, but why do you think you guys are so successful converting turnovers into buckets, and how much does that kind of buy you time or allow you to overcome early muck in the half court?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened tonight. We were mucky in the first half, and our defense was a huge catalyst. And the turnovers are never. That's not what we talk about. We talk about our crowd. We talk. The crowd around the ball, and we talk about being aggressive in our help. Trusting our help, trusting our speed, trusting our teammates, and that tends to yield turnovers when we really have that going. But it also yields tough shots and non-rhythm shots, and so that's what we're trying to do. But the guys did a great job of drumming that up really from the jump, and then as we gained energy in the game, it obviously amped up as we went along.
Andrew Schleck with The Athletic. 27 threes is the lowest amount you took in the regular season in a game. Tonight you took 21. Just thoughts on what led to that?
I mean, we took a lot in the paint tonight. I don't know what the number was, but probably took 50 shots in the paint. So we weren't replacing them with bad shots. I mean, we were on the gas in the paint and aggressive driving the ball. So I liked our blend tonight. I thought the ones we took were good. We missed some passes to the three. We probably could have took more. I thought we missed some passes, especially in the first half. But like I said, it's a new opponent. And we're used to playing Denver. Like we've been playing Denver for 2 weeks. So. It took us a second to calibrate that, but we got better as the game went along, and now we have to get better as the series goes along.
Anthony Slater with The Athletic. Chet obviously had that big stretch to open the fourth. He was the only center. Hartenstein and Gobert didn't play in the fourth at all. What is your early read on just kind of the landscape for the centers in this series?
It's hard to know. These series shift so quickly. Every game's different. Every team is constantly trying to problem solve and find new ways to gain advantages. They're going to do that. We're going to do that. Gobert's a huge factor in the series, obviously. He's somebody that we have to be aware of on both ends of the floor. And we're going to need all of our guys. All those guys are live, but tonight that's just kind of how the game unfolded. And it's a good weapon for us to be able to downsize like that.
Mark, one of the things you've mentioned about this team is that everyone sacrifices for this team. As you guys continue to get deeper into the postseason, how have you seen that continue to show up?
I mean, Kenrich Williams, Isaiah Joe tonight. You can't not play. The way those guys. Isaiah Joe's minutes got cut last series. Kenrich didn't play. You can't play that little. For a series, 2 weeks. Be that ready to play if you're not in the right frame of mind and not in a team frame of mind. And those guys, to their credit, they're the ultimate professionals and real leaders in that way. And it breathes a lot of energy into the team and a lot of life into the team. And it's hard not to sacrifice if you're a teammate of those guys and you're watching them do that. And Jay Will just helped us win the Denver series. He didn't play tonight. So it works the other way too. And he'll keep himself ready, and we'll need him probably at some point in this series too.
Yeah, Mark, they've been one of the better teams in the paint in the postseason. Only 20 points tonight when they've been averaging 52 for the postseason. How much of that was a focus for you guys? And then with Julius Randle, you talk about the give and take of defense, and he had it going offensively from the three-point line in the first half. Second half, not so much because you kind of took that away. And then particularly from the paint, he's been also one of the better guys in the paint in the postseason. Just talk about how you guys were able to take that away also.
Yeah, I mean, he's, first of all, what a half he had. That was impressive, the shot making. The one he made from deep, I was just like, man, this guy is going right now. But I thought we did a good job of amping up our ball pressure on him, understanding that he had it going. I thought the guys adjusted well to that in the game. And with the paint stuff, it just goes back to our help. You you got to trust your help. You got to be in there. Fortunately for us, we have team speed, so we can be in there and still get out to our guy. And him and Edwards and Reed are guys that if you don't do that, they can really have their way with you. So I thought the guys did a really good job of doing that tonight.
Coach, was that foul on Randle at the end of the half significant? And how did you defend him better and continually through the game? I guess Ant-Man ended up, I think, with 5 field goals. Just wondered your philosophy in defending them.
I thought we did a good job on them. I thought, like I said, it takes guys on the ball and it takes guys in the help. Great players and great offensive players, you can't defend them with one defender. You got to defend them as a team. That's been a strength of us all season. I thought we did that tonight, but this is a really, really good team that's got great resolve. These are great players. They have a great coach tactically, so they're going to have, the next pitch that we're going to have to hit, and, we are aware of that, so we got to get to work. Yep, thanks.